thick black horn-rimmed glasses popped huge brown eyes. Over by the door stood a tall, lean, good-looking man of about 55. He was decked out in a British officer's uniform, the kind they wore in India at the turn of the century. He carried a swagger stick. A black patch covered his left eye, a monocle his right. He held a pith helmet under his arm. He looked like something out of Gunga Din. So, you're Peters. Welcome to Tangier. And if you don't mind, would you remove that instrument from my face?
It was a sort of test, so you passed with flying colors. I'd have been unhappy to find I'd hired the services of a man who cringed at the sight of a revolver confronting him. You, sir, did not blink an eye. I like that. Then say it again. You passed with flying colors. Would you agree to that, Jack?
Flying colors, Peters, old boy.
Come forward, Captain.
I am Captain Jack O'Shaughnessy of Australia. I, sir, standing alone, my cutlass raised, faced 50 of the demons as they came charging through the pass. I, sir, unafraid of...
Yes, Captain. Mr. Slade will hear about that some other time. We've got 20 minutes to make our connection.
Connection?
We leave immediately for Galore. If you'll be kind enough to dress and gather your belongings, sir...
Would you kindly get that gun out of my face?
I wouldn't hesitate to wound you should you not mind. Immediately, sir.
You're a member of my company and disobeyed such an order, I'd have had you horsewhipped. I tell you, Peters, in the old days...
Yes, Captain. You go on down to the front desk and take care of Mr. Slade's account.
Enough about it. These young people need them.
Is he all right?
Jack? Oh, yes. He likes to go back into the past. Now, sir, our train departs in 16 minutes. Shall we proceed? Hold the train, conductor. Now, come, Mr. Slade, Captain, quickly.
Would it be asking too much of you gentlemen to inform me as to where we're going?
Shall we begin by beginning at the beginning? And the man...
If you'll excuse me, gentlemen, I have to...
You'll find it to your left, Captain.
Thank you, Peters.
As I was about to say, a man worth knowing is a man worth knowing.
Get to the point.
It's like this. We require the services of a man of strength, a man of cunning, one able to think fast, who take command of the situation at hand, one able to use his fist and, if necessary, a gun. We, sir, are embarking upon a most dangerous journey, one that may entail the loss of life.
Whose life?
Well, let us say that that will depend upon you.
I don't know who's more confused at this point, me or that half-witted captain.
Now, don't let Captain Jack hear you express that term. He can be mighty dangerous when provoked. So, I say to you...
It is I, Captain Jack. I've returned. I left Australia as a young shaver to join the Bengal Lancers. I served most of my time in the interior of India, fighting tribesmen sworn to wipe out British rule. In 1940, I enlisted with an Australian force in the Middle East in the fight against Rommel. At the close of the war, I became a man of the world, a regular soldier of fortune, you might say. I served under many flags. I'm presently a dealer in artifacts. That's how I met Peter.
Yes, that was in Damascus, crossroads of the world. I was born and raised in that city of cities. There I met the captain, quite by accident. We were both at an auction, bidding on a bronze falcon, bidding against one another, each pushing the price higher and higher. The good captain whispered in my ear that splendid suggestion that we pool forces and purchase the falcon together. Well, this we did. We then formed a partnership, later selling the falcon at a handsome profit. About a month ago, we were in Istanbul. The captain read of a series of valuable artifacts that had been buried in various places throughout the world by Mussolini. One item of particular interest to us was a gold medallion, a full 8 inches in diameter. On good authority reported to be worth in excess of, in your currency, $1 million. Should we find it, you will be in for a third.
Then it's the medallion we're after.
Correct. It bears the name Medallion Remeli Hazar, which translated means medallion of death. It carries with it a curse. Sudden and unexplainable death has befallen all who have owned it. Anyway, the medallion has passed through the hands of some 11 owners. For 30 years or so, it just disappeared altogether. It turned up in India in 1908, in Egypt in 1913, then it was purchased by Shah Agra Mahal of Persia in 1990.
How'd it get out here?
But during the war, it was stored for safekeeping by Mussolini.
You know the exact spot?
Approximate spot, yes. We expected that information from a former Mussolini aide.
Yes, we ran into the man in Istanbul a few weeks ago. During the war, he was captured in the desert by an Australian patrol and brought in for questioning. Captain Jack was the interrogating officer. He learned that the man had been sent by Mussolini to Galore to bury a treasure. A strange coincidence. The captain spotted him in Istanbul hotel lobby working as a porter. He'd been hiding out in Istanbul, trying to save sufficient money to get to Galore to retrieve the medallion. They managed to get him to draw a map of the area where he'd buried the medallion. He was to give it to us in return for our silence about his past, and one-third interest in whatever we reclaimed from the sale of the medallion. Our cagey Italian gave us the slip before we'd seen his map. We found him hiding out in Srinagar. And we confronted him with his treachery. Right then and there we made him draw us another map and hand it over.
How come he's not with you?
Chap mysteriously disappeared.
Where is it we're going?
To a small oasis some 40 miles south of Zagora. In all, it should take us 5 days. I see we're arriving at Sidi Bu Arfa. Shall we alight and partake of breakfast?
We'd be arriving at Fez around noon. Peters was sitting beside me reading Cairo on $2.50 a day. The captain was sleeping. I peered through the window, watched the barren countryside pass as the train rocked its way south. The motion and the heat of the day were getting to me. I dozed. Was awakened by Peters tugging at my arm.
Hey, come, we must leave the train.
Fez, ancient city of beauty. We stopped barely an hour, long enough to pick up equipment, hire a car, and drive her. Our route led us southwest. The heat was becoming unbearable. Peter's huge frame was perspiring profusely. The captain was up front humming Waltzing Matilda. The heat didn't seem to disturb him in the slightest. The guide for the past hour had been driving at breakneck speed along a single-lane road. A blowout.
Pump the brakes, don't jam them on.
We'll all be killed, Peters. Oh, shut up, Jack. Shut up. Fortunate indeed.
Rather exciting, wouldn't you say, Peters?
Now let's give him a hand to remove that wheel.
Tindara, chill, danger. By gad, sir, we're in for trouble. The horse, it's Tindara and his man. Some of the machine gun.
Travelers, I am Tindara, Sheik of this desert region. You have wares to trade. Why do you hide behind those guns? Tindara, friend, come forward. No harm should be done you.
I'd say we let go with a jolly round of fire.
Keep that gun trained on him.
I'm an American. These are my friends. We're traveling to Zangora. We do not carry anything to trade.
American. American very rich. You have money, jewelry.
No, neither.
No money. Strange how you rent car, buy food.
We have a few francs, nothing that amounts to anything.
I don't believe. You tell Tindara a lie. I search.
Dismount from that horse. I'll put a bullet through you.
You give big order to Tindara. You shoot me, my men will kill you and your friends. We have you outnumbered. You give us money, we give you your lives.
Look, let's avoid trouble. You take your men and ride off.
You are in no position to give order, American. I give order. I think we just kill you.
Captain, give them a warning burst.
We will be back, American. They take your head.
We arrived at Kinifra at sundown, checked into a small hotel situated in the heart of the market area. Peters set about hiring a Senegalese porter, mules, and 6 Bedouin tribesmen as an escort. We were in Peters' room, charting our course.
Lieutenant Valliere, Administrative Service, Foreign Legion.
Come in, Lieutenant.
A fellow officer. I salute you, sir.
And are you, sir?
And are you, sir?
Yes, Captain, that's enough of that. Now, what can we do for you, sir?
It has come to my attention you intend making the trip to Sagara. It's extremely dangerous crossing for foreigners, unescorted. You'd be well advised to wait for the regular caravan.
Oh, the caravan doesn't leave for another 5 weeks. We can't wait that long.
I see. Then, gentlemen, if you insist upon making this trip, I cannot be responsible for your safety.
We'll be all right, sir.
I have heard that from many who have set out alone. For some, the trip was successful.
And for the others?
Waylaid, killed. I trust this will not be your fate. Arm yourselves well, and good luck. You will surely need it.
Instruct the guide to halt. We can't hear. We don't want to get lost in this storm.
All right, driver, we'll set up camp over here for the night. Post 2 guards. Rig the tents over by the trees. Now let's get out of this storm.
dinner here, an ancient walled-in city situated at the southwest base of the Atlas, we engaged a camel driver and 4 of his straggly dromedaries. We arrived at Zagora on the 6th day, bypassing the town to camp at the deserted Legion post 10 miles to the south. The fort looked like something out of Beaujeu. A faded and ripped tricolor flew from the lookout tower. I half expected to be greeted by an assistant director from Paramount.
Abdul, have the Senegalese unpack the equipment. We'll seek suitable quarters and follow with our personal belongings.
And close those gates and post a couple of your men on watch. Yeah, this looks like the officers' barracks. This'll be all right.
At dawn, sir. Let's lose no time to seek out our little dingus, the medallion Romeli Hazar. Abdul!
Say there. Yes, the fat boss.
What are all these people doing here and these animals?
Berbers, the fat boss.
Berbers? Where did they come from?
From Africa, fat boss. They have lived here many centuries.
I know that, you fool. I mean, where did this bunch come from and who let them in?
They come during the night. From where, I do not know.
How dare you let strange people into the fort without my approval?
Mother, a thousand apologies. Abdul not want to disturb you, fat boss.
Will you stop calling me fat boss?
Yes, boss.
No, get that goat away from me. Look, it's trying to eat my shoe.
Salam, bad goat.
Now, what's all the commotion, Peters?
Well, Abdul let this wandering tribe in here. Could be mighty dangerous. Good morning, dear friend.
Isn't it a glorious morning?
Oh, shut up, Jack.
Let's get on our way. Another couple of hours and that sun will be broiling us alive.
Do you have the map, Captain, or has the goat eaten it?
Under my gun belt.
Abdul will take 3 tribesmen with us and the Senegalese porter. The others will remain.
Oh, sorry, I got him okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you betcha. All right, let's mount up. We crossed the Moroccan frontier into Algeria. We were now 20 miles or so south of the fort and well into the Sahara. The mid-morning sun was firing off its burning rays. Sudden stabs of pain made me double up. I felt feverish. The hot red rays of the sun blinded my vision. The sand began to ripple and then roar like a huge surf. And that was the last thing I seemed to remember. I was slowly brought to consciousness by the sound of someone digging. I was in a small oasis. Abdul and the 3 tribesmen were stretched out beside their camels, sleeping. Peters and Jack were by the waterhole studying the map. The Senegalese was waist deep in a hole shoveling out sand. I rose and stumbled toward them.
Slade, good to see you up and about.
Doesn't look as though you're having much luck.
I can't understand it unless the Italian tricked us again. Peters, he's uncovered something. A small chest. But caution, man. Easy with it. Easy. Now, you give it to me. Go on. Now, you join the others. It's locked, Peters. Yeah, force it open with this. Remove the padding and by Jove, Peters, we've got it. A veritable fortune lies in our hands, and by right of possession, it's all ours. Think of it, man. We're holding in excess of $1 million. Topping, oh boy. Topping. A rare specimen. A beauty indeed. And it's all mine. Ours. Peters. Ours. Oh, yes, Captain, how right you are. Ours.
You say it's solid gold?
Oh, solid gold, through and through. Let's return to the fort. I don't want to spend another night out here. Abdul, get up the lazy blighter. Get everything packed. We're moving out.
The medallion looked impressive and real, but something bothered me about it, something I couldn't pinpoint. It was dusk when we arrived back at the fort. Thin columns of smoke from the Berber campfires rose and trailed off into the night.
What's he shouting about?
Horseman come, Tindara.
Close the gates. Captain, get that machine gun out here. Abdul, can we count on the Berbers?
Yes, boss, we'll fight.
Line them up around the wall and have the Bedouins cover the gate.
Yes, Tindara.
Mount the gun over here, Captain. Here they come.
About 100 of them. Come on, you demons! Look at them run. Come back, you cowards!
Hold your fire. Abdul, tell the Berbers to hold their fire.
They're regrouping. There they come. Here again, Slade. Oh, you've got them.
I don't think they'll trouble us anymore tonight. Now, Captain, you take over. I'm going down to get some sleep. Now, you better stay with them, Peters. Wake me at dawn, and I suggest you leave the medallion with me. It'll be safer in our quarters.
Safer with me along.
As you wish. Peters wasn't about to trust anyone with his prized medallion. He had it out the moment we reached our quarters.
Feel the sheer wealth. Doesn't it give you the strangest feeling to hold $1 million in your hands? Here. Touch. Be careful. Hold on to it, man. Oh, I can see that it was too much for you. Pass it back to me. Let's put it away for safekeeping.
The effects of sunstroke were still with me. The moment I hit the sack, I was out. I slept a full 24 hours. I was awakened by Peters tugging at my arm.
Wake up, man. Wake up.
What is it?
The captain and I have come to say goodbye.
Goodbye? What do you mean goodbye? Where are you going?
Arrangements were made in Tangier for a small plane to pick us up on the 12th. That's today.
The plane seats only 4. And through an oversight, I failed to mention that there would be 3 people to take out. The pilot brought along his wife, and, well, understandably, he refuses to leave her behind. One of us must stay.
You can't leave me here.
Oh, have to, sir, must. I'm leaving you an additional $5,000 to cover the necessary expenses you may incur along the way. At Dover, will see you back to Penny-Fur. You can take a car to Fez and the train to Tangier. As promised, when we sell the medallion, 1/3 will be sent to you. I've enjoyed having you along. You're a man after my own heart. It's been fun. Yes, fun. Well played, my hat. And thank you, sir, for everything.
Good luck, old boy. You've been a jolly good sport about it all.
Goodbye, gentlemen. Abdul.
Yes, boss.
You wouldn't happen to have a camel going to Tangier, would you?
Plenty mad, boss. Tribesmen leave after fat boss paid them off. They steal my camels, leave me 1 donkey.
Yes, that's what I thought. Well, we can take turns at riding.
You pretty funny, boss. Don't have donkeys. Stolen by Barbara.
Oh, no. Well, it's only a 10-mile walk to Zagora. Come on, I'll buy you a drink. Dateline, San Francisco. Today I got in from Tangier, exactly 2 months following that fateful day I received a telegram from Kashmir. If I ever run into those 2 angels, that's the way they'll end up. Angels. Oh, I nearly forgot. The medallion. It was a fake. When I accidentally on purpose dropped it, a fine crack appeared. I've been told solid gold doesn't do that sort of thing. I wonder how Peters and Jack reacted when they found out. If you happen by my office and see a sign that reads, "Don't call me, I'll call you," I know you'll understand.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Petri Wine brings you the Casebook of Gregory Hood. Tonight, the Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invite you to listen to the story of The 3 Silver Pesos, another exciting story from the Casebook of Gregory Hood. And I'd like to invite you to try something that will turn those impatient minutes you spend waiting for dinner to be served into a time you really look forward to. You can do that by pouring yourself a glass of Petri California Sherry. Yes, sir, just sit back and enjoy that Petri Sherry. Good, it's great. Just hold that glass of Petri Sherry to the light and notice the beautiful deep amber color, clear as crystal. Get the aroma of this fine wine. It has all the fragrance of the luscious, sun-ripened grapes from which it's made. But wait till you taste that Petri Sherry. Then I can stop talking because you'll know for yourself how good it is. Oh, and say, if you like your sherry dry, not sweet, Petri makes a delicious dry sherry, Petri Pale Dry. If you don't know which you prefer, the regular sherry or the pale dry, why not try them both? Don't buy 1, buy 2. But just be sure you always buy Petri. Well, it's Monday evening in San Francisco, and we have a date with Gregory Hood and his friend Sanderson Taylor. Our rendezvous tonight is at Gregory's apartment, high on Nob Hill and overlooking the San Francisco Bay. Let's keep our date, shall we?
Good evening, Mr. Bartell.
Hello, Kwong.
Mr. Hood expecting you. Mr. Taylor have already arrived. Please to go in, sir.
Thanks, Kwong.
Harry Bartell, how are you?
Hello,
Sandy.
Glad to see you. Ah, good evening, Harry.
Evening, Gregory. Oh, please don't stop playing. That sounded swell.
Oh, you like it? As this is our first appearance on the radio, I thought I'd whip up a little number in honor of the occasion.
Oh?
Other radio shows have a musical theme. I thought this might be appropriate for ours.
So as well as being the head of Gregory Hood and Company Importers and an amateur detective, you're also a composer, huh?
In a very modest way, Harry.
How about you, Sandy? I know that you're Mr. Hood's attorney as well as his closest friend. Do you have any unusual talent you've been hiding under a bushel?
No, Harry. I'm a very dull dog compared to Gregory. I'm a good family man. I shoot an erratic game of golf, and I wield a writ of habeas corpus with moderate dexterity.
Don't believe a word he says, Harry. Sandy has many hidden talents, a fact that you'll find out as tonight's story gets underway. Would you care for a glass of sherry?
Oh, that'd be very nice, Gregory. Which particular page of the notebook have you decided to turn to for your first story?
A page that has the heading, The Case of the 3 Silver Pesos.
We thought it was an adventure that would show you, Harry, that Gregory and I really don't go looking for trouble, though we do have an uncanny facility for meeting up with it.
And how did the 3 silver pesos catch up with you?
Well, it was about 6 o'clock one evening a few weeks ago that Sandy and I started our drive across the Bay Bridge, bound for Sandy's home in the Berkeley Hills. Little did we think that what promised to be an evening of pleasant domesticity was destined to turn into as wild and woolly an adventure as we had ever.
Bridge is beautiful in this light, isn't it, Gregory?
Stunning. Just the same, I missed the ferry boat.
Well, if you made the trip across as often as I do, you wouldn't. The bridge is not half an hour off the trip.
Even so, Hey, look at that car.
Why doesn't he stay in his own lane?
He's an oozer. They drive me crazy.
What's an oozer?
Plenty of them on the roads. When they change lanes, they never give a signal. They just ooze. What the devil?
Watch out, Gregory. He's weaving from side to side.
Now he's pulling in toward the rail. He's going to stop.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to stop on the bridge.
He must be ill. I'm going to pull up behind him.
Look, he's opened the car door. He's staggering toward the parapet.
It looks like a suicide attempt.
Come on, Sandy. Get away from that parapet.
Yes, that's too high a jump for you, my friend. Sandy, help me hold him.
Right. There we are. Say, who are you?
Gun.
Yes, a gun would be simpler. Come on, get in our car. We'll see you home.
Gregory, I believe he's dead.
Get into the car. Poor devil, I suppose his heart gave him his wish. And get into a doctor fast. We may be wrong. Oh, here comes a cop.
Hey, you can't stop on the bridge. Get moving.
We've got to get this man to a doctor, officer. He's seriously ill.
What about his car?
You get his car cleared off the bridge, officer. We'll call back when we get to the Oakland side and make our report.
Okay, get moving.
He is dead, Gregory. I'm sure of it.
Did you find any identification on him?
According to his wallet, his name is Harrison Travers, and he's from Los Angeles.
Anything in his pocket?
Package of Chesterfield's, room key from the Hotel Barton.
No, that's one of those flea dumps on Turk Street. Yeah. What else?
3 silver pillows.
What is it?
A small glass vial. It's empty. Gregory. Smell it.
Good Lord, cyanide.
Do you suppose he swallowed it as he stepped out of the car?
Could be. As soon as we get across the bridge, we'll stop at the nearest doctor's and find out.
And that's our story, Dr. Arnold.
What explanation can you give, Doctor?
This is a fantastic case, gentlemen. You see that the man talked of the gun, carried an empty cyanide vial, tried to jump off the bridge, and apparently died of heart failure.
That's right, Doctor.
All very interesting, my friend. But this body happens to have been stabbed.
Stabbed? What?
He died from a sharp instrument piercing the chest near the heart. This gentleman is murdered.
Back we head for the bridge to San Francisco with a corpse as a passenger. Just at the time we should be having a martini.
Well, it's the only sensible thing to do, Gregory. The borderline between San Francisco and Alameda County runs right through the center of the bridge. The murder happened on the San Francisco side.
So we hand a nice new corpse over to Lieutenant Magruder of Homicide, who hates me and probably won't believe a word we say.
Well, we can't take any chances, Gregory. We're mixed up in a murder case.
True. But Magruder will probably say the guy was stabbed to death in my arms. I'll have a heck of a job proving he wasn't. Magruder'd love to put the finger on me.
Now, Gregory, I'm not going to allow you to get mixed up in this any further.
But I am in it, Sandy, up to my chin. I've got to follow through to clear myself.
But Dr. Arnold made that stabbing business perfectly clear, Gregory. A man with such a wound might easily think it a mere scratch. Walk around for an hour before he drops dead. The police surgeon will understand.
I hope so. Did you call Mary?
Yes. I said we'd be back by 7:30. It's all right.
I suppose you told her we just had to run a corpse back to the city.
Yes.
A wonderfully understanding girl, Mary.
When she knows I'm with you, Gregory, she's prepared for anything.
Oh.
Why are we stopping?
Don't you see the damsel in distress teetering on the curb ahead of us?
Damsel, nothing. Damsels don't some ride.
Oh, you must guard against being snobbish, Sandy.
Well, in any case, we've got a corpse in the rear.
Oh, we'll say he's a bit under the weather. Hop in, young lady. There's room for three in front.
Oh, Walter Raleigh, I was beginning to think you'd never come along. Sam, I'm Penelope. Penny's the story.
My name's Taylor.
And mine's Hood.
What's wrong with your friend in the back?
Him?
Uh-huh.
Oh, he doesn't feel very well.
Stiff, huh? Oh, well, it's happened before.
Don't you think it's a little dangerous for young girls to hitch rides across the bridge?
Don't worry, mister. Penny can take care of herself. I had a date at 7:15, and I just missed the train. I didn't want to wait.
Well, I'm sure you didn't have to wait long for a ride.
I didn't, but I'm choosy. Too many lone wolves on wheels.
And when we slowed down, Penny, I suppose the natural honesty of our expressions decided you that you'd be safe with us?
Say, you're pretty smooth. What's your other name, Mr. Hood?
Gregory.
I don't know how safe a girl would be with you, Gregory, but I bet you sure a good time.
I am reputed to have my moments, Penny.
Gregory, don't you think that was, Mr. Travers in the back at Brothers?
Oh, my hat!
What happened, Penny?
Oh, it blew off. Please stop and let me out. It's brand new.
Oh, that's the trouble with these modern hats. They have no stamina. I'll go back and get it for you.
Watch the traffic, Gregory. Don't get out that sign.
Don't worry, Sandy. I never commit suicide on Monday.
Here, climb out this way. I'll get out.
Move over a little bit.
There we are.
That'll do. Thank you. I'll be back in a jiffy.
Your friend's nice. What does he do?
Do? Why, he's in the importing business.
Oh, sounds so. Oh, look.
What?
Up there. Isn't that the Honolulu Clipper coming in?
I don't see it.
Goodbye, sucker.
What? Hey, come back here. Well, I'll be...
Sandy, what happened?
Penny stole our car.
And our corpse. Sandy, Lieutenant Magruder's never going to believe this one.
And that's our story, Lieutenant Magruder.
And you're expecting me to believe it, I suppose.
What did I tell you, Sandy?
Listen, Mr. Hood, you're in the importing business. I keep my nose out of that kind of stuff. Why do you mix yourself up with a homicide case?
I didn't, Magruder. It mixed itself up with me.
Yeah, don't give me that. You think you're a hot-shot detective. You're the smart boy who's always trying to show us up as a bunch of flatfoots. Don't waste my time.
Magruder, the San Francisco police force is one of the finest in the country. Why do you have to spoil the record? What do I have to do to make you realize there's been a murder?
Show me a murdered man.
But we had him. His corpse was in the stolen car.
Sure. And before he was stiff, you thought he was going to jump off the bridge. Then he had a heart attack. Then he was going to shoot himself. Then that he's poisoned himself. And finally, a doctor told you he'd been knifed. You had to cap it all off. A blonde babe steals your car and your car. Who are you trying to kid?
Well, I admit that it sounds unlikely, but it's true, Magruder.
Prove it.
Well, how about the traffic cop who came up to us on the bridge?
Yes. He drove the dead man's car way ahead of us.
He must have turned in a report.
Must he now? Well, I've checked the records, and there hasn't been a traffic report from the Bay Bridge since 4 o'clock. Now, what do you say, Mr. Hood?
That I'll prove it to you. Come on, Sandy.
Come back on Saturday, Mr. Hood. It's my day off.
You see how much your law-abiding instincts do for us, Sandy? Magruder doesn't believe us.
And see what your chivalrous instincts did for us. Your damsel in distress runs off with your car and the evidence.
Now we've got to follow this thing through to prove to Magruder that we're not nuts. You better call Mary and tell her it'll have to be a midnight snack.
Okay, Gregory, but I don't see where we go from here.
Well, luckily, I kept these 3 objects that were in the dead man's pocket. They're the only clues we've got.
A hotel key, an empty vial, And 3 silver pesos.
Yes. Let's take the key first. Hotel Barton, room 207. All right, Sandy, that's our first port of call.
What a ghastly dump, Gregory.
But as you see, service with an alleged smile. Oh, good evening.
Where's Paul?
I'm so glad. I hope you stay that way.
What do you want?
To see Mr. Harrison Travers.
No Travers here. Never was.
But this key.
207. Good. Glad to have it back. Stolen from us months ago. Thanks. Bye.
Who's living in that room?
I am. Good night.
You know, Gregory, I'm beginning to think that Magruder was right. That this whole business didn't happen after all.
And I'm getting as obstinate as all get out. I didn't believe that hotel clerk, but I couldn't search the room without a police warrant.
And with Magruder in his present frame of mind, that wouldn't be the easiest thing to get. Where are we headed for now?
The shop of my old friend Goldwasser. Along here somewhere.
Well, how can he help us?
He's a coin dealer, the best in San Francisco. I want to ask him about these 3 silver pesos. Ah, here's his shop. Hello, Henry.
Gregory Hoodman, dear boy, how good to see you.
This is Mr. Sanderson Taylor.
How do you do?
Goldwasser?
Come, let's go into my room at the back. We can sit down and be comfortable there.
How have you been, Heinrich?
Fine, Gregory, fine. Oh, the better for seeing you after this long time. So, sit down. This is a very special occasion. Perhaps you will join me in a little glass of port, my friend.
Hey, wonderful idea. Heinrich, we're in something of a jam. I'm hoping you can help us.
So, we shall see what we can do. Say, Gregory.
Oh,
Mr. Taylor?
Thank you.
Now, Gregory, tell me how I may help you.
Heinrich, I want you to look at these silver pesos. Is there anything odd or rare about them?
Or any way we could trace their ownership?
None. They're common enough coins, and yet I have many such duplicate coins here. I will check this for weight. I will put one of your coins on the scale, though. And on the other scale, I will put one of my duplicate coins. Ones that are not to be genuine, though. And what did you find?
The coin I gave you is much lighter.
It must be counterfeit.
I do not think so. Let me look at it through my glass. Oh, very ingenious.
What is it, Heinrich?
This coin unscrews. There's a hollow section inside, though.
There's a white powder inside.
Dope. At last we know what we're up against. May I use your telephone, Heinrich?
Of course, my friend.
So we're mixed up with a dope ring, Gregory.
No doubt about it, Sandy. Now perhaps I can make Magruder nibble a little humble pie.
Police headquarters, homicide, Lieutenant McGruder speaking.
Magruder, this is Gregory Hood.
It is, huh? Where are you?
Goldwasser's coin shop on Market. I've got some news for you, Magruder.
And I've got some for you. We found your car deserted on Turk Street.
With a corpse in it?
Sure.
Good. Then now perhaps you believe the story.
Only it wasn't the corpse you described. It was a nice, fresh corpse by the name of Penelope.
Penny? Dead?
Stay where you are, Hood. I'll be right over to arrest you on suspicion of murder.
You'll hear the rest of tonight's story from the casebook of Gregory Hood in just a second. Time for me to mention that the only thing necessary to make a good dinner just perfect is to serve that good dinner with a good Petri dinner wine. With steak or chops or stew, and in fact with any meat or meat dish, you couldn't ask for a better companion than a glass of Petri California Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is a hearty, full-bodied red wine. It's the very last word in wonderful flavor. If you're having fish or chicken for dinner, then you'd love Petri California Sauterne. Petri Sauterne is a delicately flavored, subtle white wine that your whole family will enjoy. Get a bottle of both, Petri Burgundy and Petri Sauterne. It's bound to be good if it's Petri. Oh, Sandy, you certainly were in up to your ears that time. I guess you were able to talk yourself out of it.
With Magruder? Well, No, Harry, the more eloquent Gregory became, the more suspicious it seemed to make Magruder. And I couldn't do anything to prevent Magruder booking him on suspicion of murder.
You mean to say you were actually locked up?
Yes, Harry. I landed in the jug with a resounding splash at just about the time a civilized man is warming his cockles with a good brandy. Sandy scurried off to get rid of habeas corpus, but for nearly an hour I found myself in a cell adjoining a certain unhappy character named Joe. Poor Joe. I don't think he knew what to make of me.
I'm Joe the Tipper.
Hi, Joe.
What's your handle, Mac?
Sam McGee.
You look slick. You one of Charlie's mob?
No, work on my own.
What'd they pinch you for, Sam?
The works sliced up my maul.
You kidding?
Kidding? You're talking to Sammy the Slicer. Ought to see what I did to Fanny. Cut her in 19 pieces. The surgeon couldn't have done a better job. Not as neat a slicing as I did on Aunt Agatha, though. I can still see her expression as I cut her head off.
Look, I'm just a small-time craft man. They shouldn't ought to put me next to you. Hey, Charlie, let me out of here.
Hey, off it, Joe. I'm going to spring you. I'm going to spring both of us.
I don't want to go nowhere with you. Hey, Charlie!
Pipe down, Joe. I got a pineapple in my pocket. I'm going to toss it out there in the aisle and blow this coop sky high.
Don't do it. Hey, Charlie, come here. Sam the Slice is going to make the break. Get me away from him, will you? I stand in my constitutional right. A guy's got a right to be locked up nice and quiet.
Pipe down, Joe. The attorney's here, Mr. Hood. Oh.
I'm sorry it took so long, Gregory. Come on.
It's a cozy little cell, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. Oh, so long, Joe.
You search him. The guy's a killer, and he's got a pineapple on him.
Don't bother you, Mr. Hood. No. But he's got the gall down, just imagination. Did you get the car back, Sandy?
No, still being held as evidence.
Then we must grab a cab as fast as we can. There's a lot of unfinished business ahead of us.
Where to, Mac?
Fisherman's Wharf.
Okay.
Oh, why Fisherman's Wharf, Gregory?
I just put in a call to Herb Kane at the San Francisco Chronicle. He tells me there's a film company shooting night location there.
How does a film company tie in with our little headache?
It's simple. I'm looking for an actor. Now, what's playing at the Geary Theater? A drawing room comedy.
Yes, and there's a costume musical at the Curran.
Correct. The stage show at the Golden Gate is a dance band and singers, no actors, so that's out. Therefore, a film company. Get it?
Absolutely and unequivocally, no.
Very well. Let's work the case out backwards.
Oh, that'll be a great help. Why not sideways?
Maybe my recent incarceration has made me a little stir-crazy. Tell me how you figured the thing out so far, Sandy.
Well, obviously Travers, the man we found on the bridge, was mixed up with a dope gang and was probably killed in some internal quarrel.
And exhibit number 2, the late Penelope, where did she fit in?
Oh, I don't think that's a hard one. She was a member of the ring. They stationed her near the entrance to the bridge, knowing that a man of your notorious susceptibilities would be bound to pick her up.
Oh, indeed.
Oh, yes, indeed. And then she stole the corpse. The hotel clerk was bribed to deny the murdered man's existence. And later they killed the girl to make things safer. Or maybe she wanted too much of a cut.
Sandy, you're excelling yourself.
Elementary, my dear Gregory. But I still don't see where an actor enters the picture.
But surely you see who the killer is now, don't you?
Well, I've read enough mystery stories to know that it must be the LSP, the least suspected person. You have that LSP tone in your voice, Gregory. But we haven't met any LSPs, unless it's Goldwasser or Dr. Arnold.
Remember, Sandy, the original bridge episode was never reported, nor was Travers' car turned in. Magruder told us that.
So the traffic cop to whom we turned over Travers' car was a phony?
And our killer, probably. He was tailing Travers to make sure he died.
Which he did. But we got away with the corpse.
So he phoned poor Penelope across the bay to stop us on the approach to the bridge on the way back. Now, who could, at a moment's notice, outfit himself as a traffic cop for shadowing purposes?
I get it, Gregory. An actor.
Right. An actor having a uniform for such a role.
Here you are, Mac. Fisherman's Wharf.
Fine. Wait here for us, driver. We won't be a minute.
Okay.
Come on, Sandy.
Hey, look at the crowds, Gregory.
Oh, it's not surprising. Hollywood's putting on a free outdoor floor show.
You can't come any farther. Sorry.
Oh, who's the director on this picture?
Oh, Chester Garland. I'm Bud Denton, second assistant. Can I help you?
I hope so. You have an actor in this production who's playing a traffic cop?
Yeah, funny you should ask that. He's been missing all day. So's his motorcycle.
And no answer from his hotel either.
Do you happen to remember the name of his hotel?
Yeah. Hotel Barton on Turk Street. And his name?
Gunn. Fred Gunn.
Fred Gunn. Much obliged to you. Come on, Sandy.
You're welcome.
Now, it's clear, Sandy. The dying man's words meant not a weapon, but a name.
What?
Fred Gunn. Let's skip back into our cab and go back to the Hotel Barton and visit with him.
When I tell you there's no Fred Gunn been living here.
And I tell you that he's still living in 207. Give us a pass key.
Are you cops?
No, but we're sending for them in a few minutes. You might as well keep yourself out of a bad mess.
Here's the pass key. And don't tie me up in anything. I just did what I was told.
And what were you told, my friend?
To say that I was living in 207. I didn't see any harm in that. We don't ask too many questions here.
Is Fred Gunn in his room now?
Yeah, came in an hour ago with some drunken bum that couldn't stand up. They were plastered as hootie owls.
Let's go, Sandy.
Right. Might as well walk up. It's only the second floor.
I suppose if I were in this game professionally, I'd be carrying a gun, Sandy.
I'd feel safer if you were, Gregory. Looks as if we've got a killer cornered in a rat hole. He might shoot before he asks questions, you know.
Sandy. I don't want to be melodramatic, but you've got a wife and 2 children. I wish you'd go back and wait for me in the lobby.
Nice of you, Gregory. But this is Hood Company business. In any case, I don't want to miss the fun.
You're a remarkably square man, Sandy. There are times when I'm quite fond of you.
Yeah. Here we are. 207. Going to knock?
Our only chance is to rush him. Hope the door isn't locked. Watch out, Sandy.
Yep.
Gun!
He's asleep on the bed. Take it easy, Gregory. We can tie him with the bedclothes.
He doesn't need bedclothes, Sandy. He needs a shroud. He's dead. Smell this bottle of whiskey. It's been spiked with cyanide.
Great Scott. Gregory, look, they're on the floor.
The now familiar corpse of Mr. Travers. How it does get around.
Oh, we're in a serious jam now, Gregory. Knee-deep in corpses and not a single suspect left.
We don't need one. I know who murdered Gunn, and oddly enough, he's in the room now.
The killer? Where? In the closet?
Closer than that, Sandy.
Oh, now look, Gregory. If you're going to put the finger on me as the least suspected person, it's going too far. I won't stand for it.
No, Sandy. Mr. Travers lying on the floor is the latest killer.
But you mean the corpse is the murderer?
Sure. Remember the empty cyanide vial? Before Travers was killed himself, he'd poisoned Gunn's whiskey. Gunn figured he'd stay sober until he'd retrieved Travers' corpse.
He brought it back here, started to figure out how he was going to dispose of it.
Exactly. He decided to take a slug of whiskey to help his thinking machinery, and so he died. Murdered by his own victim.
Oh, I see.
And now I have a call, mate. Elmwood 6, 4222.
Calling Lieutenant Magruder?
Sure. This is going to be fun. Magruder in homicide, please.
After you're through, Gregory, I'll call Mary. We'll have one of her delicious rabbits, and you'll stay the night.
It's a date. Magruder, this is Gregory Hood. Now, settle back in your chair and make yourself comfortable, because I've got a fairy story to tell you. Once upon a time, a couple of worthy citizens were driving across the Bay Bridge when the car in front of them started to weave. You'll never believe this, Magruder, but as they were...
Well, Gregory, that was a swell story. Very different, too.
Yes, and I might say it almost marked the end of my beautiful friendship with Magruder.
That was quite a twist, Gregory, the murderer being murdered by his victim.
And I'd like to point out a moral, if you'll pardon my pointing.
Oh, go right ahead.
The story proves that you get what you give.
And fortunately, that works with the best, too.
Ah, quite a philosopher, aren't you? Just what you mean.
Well, we all get what we give. Look, when you drop by my house, what do I give you?
A warm welcome.
And?
A good dinner.
And?
A glass of Petri wine.
Right. And when I visit you, I get...
Petri wine.
Right again. And that's because we both know that Petri wine is a good wine. Petri wine has got to be good wine. Look at the long years of skill and experience that goes into its making. Why, the Petri family has been making wine for generations. Winemaking is their heritage, a heritage handed on down from father to son, from father to son. And don't forget, ever since the Petri family first went into business, they've watched over that business personally. Yes, the making of Petri wine is a family affair, and the Petri family has every intention of keeping it just that. So you know that the name Petri on a bottle of wine is more than a trademark. It's the personal assurance of the Petri family that Petri wine is and always will be good wine. Well, Gregory, to what page of your casebook are you turning next Monday?
Next Monday, Harry, I'm going to tell you an odd story that concerns a San Francisco cable car, a rather unusual brunette, and a blood-stained hatchet. I call it the Black Museum. See you next Monday, Harry.
The Casebook of Gregory Hood is written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher. Original music is composed and played by Dean Fossler. Mr. Gale Gordon plays the part of Gregory Hood, and Sanderson Taylor is played by Mr. Bill Johnstone. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. The Casebook of Gregory Hood comes to you from our Hollywood studio. This is Harry Bartell saying good night for the Petri family.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell means mystery, adventure.
Nero Wolf's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. Who? Oh, I see. Oh, and you think Mr. Wolf might be interested in going over and... Hold on a minute.
Archie, I'm not interested in going anywhere. Ill-considered movement is the curse of our times. Not to mention the mania for fresh air. Phew. Bottle opener, if you please.
Here you are. But that was Zabro's flower shop, Mr. Wolf.
Indeed.
Got a new shipment of orchids from upstate.
In that case...
Mr. Wolf, remember the curse of our times? Not to mention the mania?
I'll be there.
He'll be there.
After all, a man must risk his life sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the bulkiest, balkiest, smartest, and most unpredictable detective in the world. That chair-borne genius, Nero Wolfe. Created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
Orchids don't grow up overnight. They have to be carefully planted, tended, watered, and watched. And the same thing goes for murder. Take Zabro's flower shop minutes after we got that phone call.
Zabro! Mr. Hansen, I did not notice you are here.
I'm here, and what's more...
You like the way I display your orchids,
I don't like the way you've been avoiding meeting your obligation.
Please, it is better not to shout.
It'd be still better if you paid me what you owe me.
Mr. Hansen, business has not been so good. I will pay.
You'd better.
I intend to...
My lawyers aren't going to be satisfied by intentions.
Your lawyers?
I've no particular desire to own a flower shop, but it looks as if I'm going to, unless you raise some money.
Mr. Hansen, I have worked years. I have given of my blood to make a success of this establishment. You cannot take him from me. You are a rich man.
I intend to stay rich, too. You've got 24 hours, Zabro. A man can accomplish a lot in 24 hours.
Yes, Mr. Hansen. Even maybe murder.
Mr. Zabro?
Oh, good afternoon, Miss Hansen.
Is Uncle here?
Yes, he is here. At the display, towards the back of the store.
Thanks. How is he? Oh, I mean...
He is the way he always is. Hard, vindictive.
Mr. Zabro.
I am sorry. Excuse me now.
Uncle?
What is it, Enid?
Have you seen my display?
The lilies?
Uh-huh.
Yes, pretty.
Oh, thank you.
He's not here.
Well, I didn't say...
You didn't have to. John Arndt is not here. Why he is not here, I don't know. His job was to look after my display. Perhaps he doesn't need a job anymore.
You know he does.
Fiddlesticks. After all, if he marries my heiress...
Uncle!
My dear girl, John Arndt is a fairly capable man with orchids. Outside of that, I have no use for him whatsoever, especially in the role of your husband.
Well, isn't that for me to decide?
Of course it is, except that, pretty as you are, John Arndt is seeing you through a golden haze. To be precise, the money that will come to you from me when I die.
That's nasty.
It's the truth.
Well, you can't know that.
I'm going to find out.
What?
I saw my lawyers this morning. Among other things, I instructed them to draw up a codicil to my will. A codicil to the effect that all my money goes to you on one condition.
Oh, you couldn't.
I did. The condition was that you refrain from marrying John Arndt, either now or at any time in the future.
Well, that's not fair.
It's a very good way of discouraging Mr. Arndt. What'll you bet his ardor cools off quickly,
You told him?
Yes. Probably why he hasn't appeared as yet. He's sulking.
You really signed that codicil?
I will, as soon as the papers are drawn up. Where are you going?
I don't know. I've got to get away someplace and think.
Very well. Think about forgetting John Arndt. Best thing in the world for you.
Uncle, do you really think you can manage other people's lives for them?
I don't see why not.
No? Well, people don't like to be managed. They get desperate sometimes. And sometimes they kill.
Mr. Wolf, what are you doing?
Getting up. I'm up.
Well, that makes you eligible for the Explorers Club or something.
My coat and muffler, Archie.
I got 'em here.
Thank you.
You're really going out into that weather outside?
Archie, must you try to be witty?
It amuses me no end. Haven't you seen enough of those weeds yet?
An orchid is not a weed. Another muffler, Archie, the woolen one.
You've already got 2 on.
Please, fresh air clogs the lungs, Archie.
Sure, everybody knows that, but they won't admit it.
Of course not. A conspiracy of silence. Archie, I'm ready.
You sure? I can see a square inch of skin showing.
Tom, you're driving me to Zabro's.
Mm-hmm. All right, careful. And take a deep breath. I'm going to open the door. You ready?
Yeah, very well. Open it.
Be brave, Mr. Wolf. We'll keep the car window shut, and maybe you'll make it. Careful.
The risks one takes.
In you go. Well, okay, boss. Now, where is Zabro's?
45th Street.
Gee, 10 blocks. Grit your teeth, Mr. Wolf. We're off.
Oh, Mr. Wolf, I'm glad you are here.
Those orchids you wrote me about had better be worth the trip.
The trip? But I think you live only a little way from here.
Don't forget it had to be made in the open air, Mr. Zabro.
Where are the orchids?
Towards the back. They are from Hansen's place. He is a fine grower. I have made an exhibit.
Good.
Oh, excuse me. Others are here. You go look for yourself, no?
Very well. Archie.
Oh, I was just noticing the
Did a girl just enter the store?
A girl, a goddess, tall, graceful, Venus de Milo with arms. Arms that were made... Never mind, let's go look at orchids.
Thank you. Very fine.
The exhibit is laid out like nature, huh? Reminds me of a spot in Central Park that I spent some of my happiest moments in.
Then you do like flowers?
I don't go to Central Park to look at flowers. I went there to, forget it.
Gladly. Now go away and annoy someone else.
Venus?
I want to concentrate on these orchids. Goodbye.
Okay. I'll leave you alone with your loved ones. Let's see, maybe I can arrange to be left alone with something I could very easily learn to love. Hey, boss.
Don't bother me, Archie.
Oh, this is serious. There's a lily display just like this one over at the other end of the store.
Nothing connected with lilies could possibly be serious.
Maybe not, but there's a corpse planted among these lilies.
Indeed?
A lot of ferns were banked up in back of the display. I saw a foot sticking out, so I slipped back, lifted a few ferns, and found a body.
Fresh?
Very. The wound was still bleeding. Knife wound.
Sad, very. Now run along.
Well, aren't you going to do anything about it?
Why should I? Anyone who'll permit himself to be found dead or alive among a display of lilies is beneath contempt.
Well, maybe the poor guy didn't have a chance to crawl into an orchid display before he died. However, if that's the way you feel, I'll tell the police all about poor Mr. Hanson and let them...
Who?
Hanson, the orchid grower.
He's one of the finest in the country.
Not is. Was. Wasn't me who pushed him under the lilies.
Under lilies? Bah. He would have hated that. Have you told Zabro?
No. Zabro's been busy up front.
Where is this display?
Right along here.
There's been a number of people in the store since we came. Someone else may have noticed that dead man's foot.
I covered it.
Satisfactory. At times you give the illusions of intelligence. Is this the display?
Yep. Come around to the back. There's a little space between the back of the display and the wall. Yeah. Now here, right under this pile of ferns...
Yes, Sergeant?
Hey, that body.
What about it?
It got bashful. It's gone.
Indeed.
The corpse was dead.
Corpse is off now. Confound you, Archie. Have you been drinking too much milk again?
Now, look, boss, I saw him there. The blood's still coming out of his back, and I tell you that...
Let me understand you. Are you suggesting the corpse rose and walked away?
No, but somebody could have dragged it away. Somebody who put it here in the first place.
Pictures, no doubt. Come along, Archie. If this is some half-witted trick to distract me from the orchid...
Oh, no. I never come between a man and his love. Hey, wait a minute, Mr. Wolf.
Yes?
Do ferns bleed?
Let me see. Oh. Indeed. Yes, there is blood. Fresh arterial blood on these ferns. Bright red color. Which means there was a wounded person among these lilies recently.
Thanks for the late vote of confidence.
Whoever killed Hanson apparently found a better place for him.
Mm-hmm. Took him home to put him over the mantelpiece.
Unlikely. Hanson wasn't very decorative.
Okay. Now shall I for the police?
You have nothing to show them except a fern leaf covered with blood? No.
Don't tell me you smell a fee among all these flowers.
Hanson was a man I admired. Good heavens, Archie. The number of first-rate orchid growers is small enough without one of us being murdered.
Mm-hmm. Unsportsmanlike, huh? Okay, we won't stand for it. What next?
The body was removed from the building. How?
Well, I wouldn't swear to it, but there's a window here that leads out to an alleyway.
Could the alleyway be seen from the street?
I don't think so. There's a bend in it.
Wide enough for a car?
Yep.
Bring Zabro to me. Oh, don't bother. He's coming himself.
Well, Mr. Wolf, what do you think of the... Mr. Wolf, I do not believe this.
What don't you believe?
You are looking at lilies.
Not exactly. Whose flowers are these?
Mr. Hanson's niece grows lilies.
I see. Zabro, did you get all your orchids from Hanson?
Oh, yes. He is an artist.
Practically an old master at the moment. How much money did you owe him?
Who tell you I owe him?
You do, don't you?
Well, yes. Business has not been so good. But did he speak to you?
No, I guess you owed him money.
But I do not understand.
Was Hanson in the store today?
Yes, he came. You hear us quarrel, eh?
Where is he now?
I do not know. He leave, maybe.
I rather think he did. Zabro, who else was in the store within the last half hour who might have known Hanson?
Oh, Miss Hanson was here, and John Arnold. He is Mr. Hanson's assistant, and how you say, sweet on Miss Hanson.
Was she the tall girl came in shortly after we did, Mr. Zabro?
Tall? Yes, I think so.
Are either of them still here?
No. They go.
Together?
Miss Hanson go first.
Very well. Come along, Archie.
Okay, Mr. Wolf.
You will not tell Mr. Hanson, you know. You know of my debts.
No, Mr. Zabro, I won't tell him. As a matter of fact, even if I wanted to, I don't think he would listen.
I love these long drives in the country. Where are we going?
Hanson's place.
Oh. You think he returned to it to haunt it, huh?
He was returned there, I suspect.
Uh-huh. In order to cast suspicion on himself.
Miss Hanson lives with him. Mr. Arndt works for him on the premises, therefore...
Miss Hanson will be there?
I imagine so. Why?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Boss, can we stop at the next town?
Why?
I want to buy a book on lilies.
This sudden... You mean Miss Hanson grows them in there?
Uh-huh. You see, that way we'll have something in common.
Perhaps, but Archie, is an interest in flowers what you want to have in common with her?
So this is the house that Orchids built, huh? Snazzy.
Very handsome country home.
The streamlined zombies.
Hello.
I take that back.
Miss Hanson?
Yes.
I'm Nero Wolf. The person ogling you is my assistant, Mr. Goodwin.
Oh. Well, Uncle's spoken of you, Mr. Wolf. Oh, come in, please.
Thank you.
I was not ogling. I was merely tracing a resemblance.
Oh, between Uncle and me?
Between you and my heart's desire.
Archie, stop being poetic. It doesn't become you.
In here, please. My uncle isn't at home yet, but... Oh, John, this is Mr. Wolf, Mr. Goodwin. John is Uncle's assistant.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Mr. Hanson hasn't returned from town yet, Mr. Wolf.
Are you quite sure?
Why, yes. Unless Enid saw him.
Oh, no, I didn't, John.
Indeed. In that case, if you don't mind, we'll wait for him.
Well, of course, we'd be delighted.
Sure. Excuse me, won't you? I've got some work to do.
On orchids or lilies?
The orchids.
Well, then go right ahead.
See you later.
Oh, can I get you something to drink?
Beer will do, thank you.
I'd better help you bring the bottle in, Miss...
Archie.
On the other hand, maybe you can manage alone.
Well, of course I can. I'm a big girl, Mr. Goodwin.
I noticed. I mean, why not call me Archie? Takes less time.
I'd like to, Archie.
Swell. Remember what old Dr. Tidmouse said?
I want a bottle of beer.
Said, I want a bottle... Oh. No. Never mind, Enid. You better go gather some beer for Mr. Wolf.
All right. I'll be back in a minute.
So much of her and all so nice.
Archie, are you forgetting why we're here?
I don't care why you're here.
We're waiting for Uncle.
Uh-huh. Mr. Wolf, it's unlikely that Uncle is going to walk in through that front door.
True. That is why you're sneaking out the back door to find him.
How do you know he'll be around here?
This is where he lives, isn't it, Archie?
Yes, but if you'll remember, Uncle gave up living earlier this afternoon.
You mean he was persuaded to? Nevertheless, I rather think he'll be around, body and all.
He wasn't in the house, so I tried the conservatory, hothouse, what have you. It was hot in that steam-heated orchid paradise. Also, it was full of orchids. Unfortunately, it wasn't full of Miss Hanson. I wandered hither and yon for a moment, dreaming of her, until I noticed a foot. Same foot I'd seen back at Zabro's, and peculiarly enough, the same corpse was attached to it. Uncle's. I was bending over to take a closer look when I felt a thud. Realized that thud was the sound of something hitting my head, and I began to realize, too, that I'd been knocked almost unconscious, which the second blow did.
I can't understand where my uncle is, Mr. Wolf.
His staying away so late is unusual, then.
Of course it is.
Which reminds me, Archie's been gone for several hours.
Yeah, where did he go, Mr. Wolf?
To look about. Were you in the hothouse, Mr. Hunt?
No, I was packing some plants.
You, Miss Hanson?
Well, after I brought your beer, I went upstairs and rested for a while. Why?
Because if either of you harmed Archie, I shall personally murder you.
Oh, Mr. Wolf.
Come on, we got to find the boy.
Why, Why should either of us want to harm him?
Because he probably found your uncle's body.
His body? What are you...
I don't understand.
Mr. Hanson has been murdered.
Oh no.
Enid.
Oh, stop that, Miss Hanson. You're a perfectly healthy young woman. There's no reason for you to swoon.
Now, look here, you.
Besides, I rather suspect she lost no love for him. Am I right, Miss Hanson?
He was my uncle.
You're aware of the fact? He opposed your marriage to Miss Arndt here, huh?
That's none of your business.
Which means he did oppose it. Mr. Arndt, Mr. Hanson was a friend of mine. I intend to find the murderer after I find his body. It shows a lack of proper respect to transport a corpse about the countryside. Come, both of you, we must find Archie.
This whole thing's like a nightmare.
If you can't wake up from it, let's go on with the search.
Oh, look, they're on the ground.
Archie.
I'll see if he's all right.
Why, this is fantastic. Mr. Hanson stabbed to death, and now Goodwin.
He's just been stunned, thank heavens. He's coming to.
Oh, I died. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm dead.
Archie, speak to me.
Oh, I went to heaven.
Are you all right, Archie?
Uh-oh, the other place.
Get up.
Sure, if somebody will hold my head. Oh, are we having an earthquake?
You poor boy. Take my arm here.
I'll take both.
Hooey, he's normal. What happened, Archie?
Somebody hit me when I wasn't looking.
Yeah? Why?
I don't know. Oh, yes, I remember.
Yes?
I found Uncle lying right there. Right there.
The poor boy's delirious.
Don't tell me he's gone again.
I'm afraid he has, Archie.
Are you sure you saw him?
I'm positive, and then somebody slugged me. That corpse is the shyest one I've ever met.
Blood would have dried. There'll be no signs of his having been placed here. Bad.
Why?
Your testimony would be valueless, especially since you were found unconscious. The jury would suspect you of having hit the bottle.
Why didn't we stay the night? I'm a sick man. Enid would have nursed me.
You're not sick. And I won't have you taking advantage of that girl.
In my condition, I couldn't have. But maybe she would have taken advantage of me.
Hooey.
Is that what they called it in your day?
We're Zabros. Stop the car.
Okay. Dum-ba-dee-dum-dee-dee-dum. Here we go.
No, I can manage. I'm not entirely helpless.
Place is closed. Dark.
I was afraid it might be.
Don't tell me Zabro's gone traveling, too.
Possibility, Archie.
You mean he killed Hanson to cancel the debt he owed him, and then followed us out to the country house and dumped Hanson there, hoping to pin suspicion on Enid and John?
Perhaps.
Uh-huh. Slugged me when I found the body too soon, and then... Uh-huh. Guess we better get into the joint.
Door's locked.
A guy I know got out of jail the other day.
Yeah?
He's reformed, so he gave me all his skeleton keys.
You have them with you?
Mm-hmm. And we'll find out in a minute just how good a burglar he was. Very good. Will you come in?
Shut the door.
Okay.
Now. What's that?
Somebody's been hurt. The lights. Nothing up front here.
Back of the store where the exhibits are.
I'll go see. Maybe you better stay here.
Nonsense.
Oh, where? Oh, among the lilies again, but this time there are two bodies there.
Sabra. Quick, Archie.
Mr. Zabro? Mr. Zab? He's been shot, boss. Bad.
He's trying to say something.
In the lilies. Mr. Hanson.
Yes, we know about him. Who shot you?
From the window. Alleyway. Came in.
Mr. Zabro. Who?
He inherit money. Inherit.
Down, Mr. Wolf, quick. Somebody shooting from that window.
Archie.
All in one piece. Are you all right?
Yes, that car.
It's gone. Brought the body here and...
Zabra.
He couldn't duck. He's dead.
Yes.
Police, boss, this time we've got more than a fern leaf smeared with blood to show them.
Not yet, Archie. I'd prefer handing the murderer over to them along with the victims. I'm going home. Archie, get Miss Hanson and Mr. Arndt there as soon as you can.
Well, suppose they don't want to come.
Knock them unconscious and drag them there.
Not Enid, boss. Enid's... Hey, what Zabro said about inheriting.
Don't anticipate, Archie. When you get them to my office, we'll identify the murderer then.
Mr. Wolf, don't you think this is all a little high-handed, dragging us here in the middle of the night?
Murder is even more high-handed, Mr. Arndt.
Please, John.
Miss Hanson, do you inherit?
Well, I guess so. I'm Uncle's only relative, so I suppose.
Wait a minute, Enid. Mr. Wolf, are you suggesting that she had anything to do with this invisible corpse?
The corpse is no longer invisible, Mr. Arndt.
You've seen Uncle?
Yes, dead in Zabro's establishment. Lying with a knife in his back in his own orchid display.
Now you're trying to pin something on me. You know I set up that orchid display.
Indeed. The police will be interested in that information.
But he wasn't found in the orchids. He was...
Yes, Mr. Arndt. He was found where?
I don't know.
You were about to say the lily display, weren't you?
I wasn't going to say anything.
You're a little late. You already informed us that you knew his body was not placed in the orchid display. How did you know?
I just guessed.
The jury will be very much impressed by your remarkable clairvoyance, especially since, Archie asked Mr. Zabro to come in.
Mr. Zabro? Okay.
Don't bother, Goodwin.
John, that gun.
Shut up, you little fool.
Enid's a big girl.
I don't know how you tumbled, Wolf. Lucky guessing, maybe.
Oh, come now. Neither of us has indulged in guesswork. You killed Hanson, placed his body in the lily display to attract suspicion towards Miss Hanson. You felt sure she wouldn't be convicted, so you were safe. She would inherit, you would marry her, a marriage which your uncle opposed. When you saw that Archie had discovered the body too early for you to establish an alibi for yourself...
Then he sneaked the body out of the window into his car and then dumped it in the hothouse.
For time.
Go on, Mr. Wolf.
He didn't intend it to be discovered there, which was why he knocked you unconscious, Archie.
Oh, I'm so glad he had a good reason for it.
He had a body on his hands. He decided to double back, put the body in its original place, and carry through his plan. But Zabro caught him at it, poor fellow.
I thought Zabro was in the other room.
Lost you fool. Do you think I, too, am addicted to carrying corpses about? Zabro is dead. And you've given yourself away unnecessarily. Archie?
All right.
Archie, quick.
Let go, Enid.
I've got his arm.
I'll give him mine with a fist attached.
Very satisfactory, Archie. Now call the police. Inform them you have 2 corpses and a murderer for them.
You should have heard Mr. Arndt's language, boss, when the police took him away. Oh, I don't think he loves you.
I don't think it matters anymore.
It used to me.
Growing pains. You'll get over it, Miss Hanson.
You trapped him, Mr. Wolf, but what made you so sure he did it?
At the hothouse, when you were unconscious, Archie, Mr. Arndt deplored the fact that Mr. Hanson had been stabbed in the back. And no one had mentioned how he was killed. Therefore...
The reason Arndt knew was because he himself had killed Mr. Hanson. Murderers seldom get away with it, no matter how tightly they button their lips.
Well, mine, however, are not buttoned up. Archie?
Oh, the beer is on your desk.
Thank you. Miss Hanson, stop brooding. Try some of this beer.
But, Mr. Wolf, my heart's broken.
As a man who's lived a good many years, Miss Hanson, permit me to assure you that the easiest way of mending a broken heart is by filling the stomach.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin and Gigi Pearson, Jay Novello, Herb Butterfield, and Byron Kane. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Deadly Sellout. Don Stanley speaking.
Presenting Joel McCrae as Jace Pearson in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, authentic stories from their official files. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on fact. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record. Tonight's transcribed case, Dead or Alive.
At exactly 9:13 a.m. on Wednesday, April 16th, 1947, a French freighter Grand Camp, carrying a highly explosive cargo of ammonium nitrate fertilizer, blew up in the harbor at Texas City, Texas. It was the first in a chain of explosions as chemical plants, tin smelters, and oil refineries disappeared in blasts and flame. Shortly after 1 a.m. the next morning, the major chain reaction was set off. The explosions rocking the city of Galveston 10 miles across the bay, where excited crowds gathered in the streets watching the raging, flame-pierced sky.
Extra! Texas City death toll, 300. Hundreds more missing. Scores of bodies unidentified. Paper, mister?
Yeah, give me one. Here.
Read about it. Unidentified dead. Cold, still mounted.
Where are the names, Vance? Where's the list of the dead?
They only got a few of them identified.
Well, is Ralph's name there?
Wait a minute. No, he's probably all right. A working square like him would be.
But he worked at one of the refineries they're burning.
Stop blubbering. You want to attract attention to me?
No, Vance, no, but he is my brother. I gotta worry about him, too, don't I?
Yeah. Come on, over here, into this doorway. Look at that blaze over there across the bay. What a spot to clean up. Money, jewelry must be laying around the streets. Just wait.
Vance, ain't you crazy? There'll be police there, Rangers. You're in enough trouble now.
Yeah, Liv, you're right. But I'm getting out of it now, for good. And that place over there is going to do it. Maybe your brother Ralph is one of the dead they haven't identified. You gotta go there, baby. If he is, you'll have to identify him.
Oh.
If he is there, in with the ones they don't know. There's nothing you can do to help him. But you can help me.
Vance, what do you mean?
Well, if you find him there, baby, you can identify the body and say it's mine.
Vance.
You want me in the clear, don't you, baby? They won't be chasing after me if they think I'm dead, don't you see?
But my own brother. What are you asking me to do?
I'm asking you to do as you're told. If you want to walk out on me, go ahead. But if you don't, you're going to want me to keep on running for the rest of my life? Or let them get me and send me to Huntsville for 10 to 20?
Oh, I don't want anything to happen to you, Vance. You know that.
Well, then show me, baby. Show me. You can't help Ralph if he's over there, but you can help me, don't you see? I'll get out of here tonight. And I'll let you know when to meet me. Maybe at that resort place we passed near Lake Blue Water. We'll be free, baby. You and me. Free from there on.
But how? What'll we do for money?
That'll be taken care of, too. There's a safe in Landstone. I've been itching to get at it for a long time. One last box job, baby, and enough to see us through. Now go ahead right now. And remember, if you find your brother, he ain't Ralph Brenner. He's me, Vance Young. And come back, pack up, and stay put till you hear from me. From then on, it's gravy. Nobody ever arrests a dead man. By Friday morning, April 18th, more than 200 bodies, many still unidentified, were laid out in the Texas City High School gymnasium. Texas Rangers, including Ranger Jace Pearson, were on hand to help distraught relatives make identification.
I can't believe it.
You're You're sure your husband isn't at any of the other places where bodies are being held?
No, Ranger.
He may be all right. Lots of men have been so busy helping others, he may be one of those.
Oh, if only he isn't here.
Let's hope he isn't. The embalmers are still working on more bodies over at McGar's garage. It's the only place handy. Keep your hopes up, but don't hope too much for a while.
Well, I'll be all right.
Might as well start looking through this next row now. They're pretty bad cases. Recognize anything on this one?
No.
This?
No.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, ma'am. Are you sure?
That ring on his finger. I gave it to him a long time ago.
It isn't easy, but try and get a grip.
I'm all right, Ranger.
You better give me the name for the tag.
His name is Vance. My husband, Vance Young.
Vance Young. The name burned in my mind like a branding iron. There was no time to ask her, and yet I had to ask. It was part of my job. I waited until we got out into the street. There's some information I have to get from you, Mrs. Young, about your husband.
All right.
Did he have a criminal record?
Yes.
Did you know we were looking for him? For a string of safecrackers?
How does that matter now? He's dead, isn't he?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mrs. Young. You'll find some men at the desks in that building across the way. They'll help you with funeral arrangements.
All right. Thank you very much.
Vance Young.
Jace! Hey, Jace!
Huh? Oh, hello, Kurtz.
Captain Simpson wants us.
Where is he?
The mobile unit?
Let's go.
I'll be glad when this assignment is over. I hope we never see another one like it.
Yeah, I've helped with 5 identifications today. You stand there with somebody and see their life fall apart because of a freak accident.
Woman who just left you, she find somebody?
Yeah, her husband. Kurtz, it was Vance Young.
Vance Young? The knob knocker?
Yeah. Looks like the explosion ended his case for our files.
Don't you think we better check the body for prints and marks?
No, he got it too badly. She identified him by a ring.
Unidentified bodies give a knob knocker like Young a big chance to disappear.
I thought of that, too. Except for one thing. That woman's grief was real. She wasn't faking it. A week passed. A week of horror and nightmares till the fires in Texas City were controlled and stopped. Men with tight lips and grim courage started to rebuild the ruins. Most of us Rangers went back to regular duty in our regular areas. Then one day, while Bud Kurtz and I had just finished a routine job and were driving back to headquarters, a call came through via shortwave.
KTXA to Unit 10. KTXA to Unit 10.
Unit 10 to KTXA. Go ahead, KTXA.
Unit 10, proceed immediately to Landstone, Texas, Arthur County. Safe of mercantile store burglarized there at 4 a.m. today. Crime reported by owner when store opened at 9:30 a.m. this date.
Any lead on responsible subject?
Subject unidentified, but known to be one man working alone, according to information given by watchman. Watchman was overpowered, being treated Landstone Emergency Hospital.
Units 10 and 6 proceeding to Landstone. We'll keep KTXA informed. Unit 10, 10-4.
Assignment authority, Captain Stinson. KTXA Austin.
Landstone, about 40 miles, Jace.
Yeah.
Knob-knocking job, huh?
Yeah. At least, though, there's one safe specialist we can eliminate right from scratch on this one.
Who?
Vance Young.
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about him. Dead men don't rob safes, do they?
We reached the Landstone Mercantile Store at 11:15, and Sheriff Joe Pastroni showed us through.
These back rooms are used for storage. He came in through the back, went through that door over there to the general office. That's where the safe is.
How'd he get into the building?
Forced the watchman to let him in. Watchman patrols this whole area, door shaker. Has keys to get into all the stores if he sees anything that looks funny.
Well, then he must have met the safecracker outside.
Yeah, I guess so. Watchman was pretty dazed this morning. The doctor's patching him up at the hospital. Deputy will drive him back here as soon as his head's fixed. Now, as you can see, been over everything for fingerprints.
You find any?
Sure, hundreds. They probably all belong to employees of the store.
Best bet is to check the prints on the safe first.
Already did that. Only 2 sets. Owner of the store and the bookkeeper.
Well, that won't tell us anything, Jace, unless one of them robbed the store.
That isn't likely. Better have a look at the safe now, Sheriff.
Sure thing. Our last office back here.
What make is the safe, Sheriff?
It's Will's Atlas, new model.
It's a tough box, Jace. Steel and wrought iron plates and more alarm wires than the marionette show.
Yeah, but a good safecracker could divert the alarm circuit without tripping it. And the box is a cinch because he's got the wire holes to start working on.
Here we are.
You figured it, Jace. Backplate blown clean out.
Yeah, and didn't even have to drill. Small nitro charges in the wire holes, and it was as good as having the combination.
Here's where he jumped the alarm circuit. Neat hookup, all right.
You take the pictures of all this, Sheriff?
Yeah, I can pick up a set of my office if you like.
Thanks.
Oh, Winky.
Howdy, Sheriff. Rangers.
I've been waiting for you. This is a watchman. How's your head?
Well, aspirin ain't gonna help it any, I'll tell you that. You gonna get the fella?
We'll be able to answer that better when the fingerprints are checked.
Fingerprints? He ain't gonna find any he left. He was wearing gloves.
I figured, Jace.
Yeah. Tell me, Winky, would you recognize the man if you saw him again? Could you pick out his picture?
Yeah. If I had his picture took with a sack over his head, I could. That ain't likely.
You mean his face was covered?
Had a sack over his head, like I told you. Holes for the eyes. He ain't gonna catch him by no fingerprints or pictures. Maybe you ain't gonna catch him at all.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Winky. Sheriff, would you mind going down to your office for prints of the pictures of the scene here? I'd like them sent on to my headquarters for an MO check.
Sure. Take care of it right away.
What kind of check is an MO check, Ranger?
It means modus operandi, Winky. All criminals have definite methods and habits. They're repeated on each job they do. Forms a pattern.
Well, there's sure a pattern here, all right, Jace. Method of entry, where that circuit was jumped, sack mask, nitro charge, and the wire holes.
Yeah. And it fits 3 men. 3 safecrackers we've followed before.
Yeah. There's Bert Larkin. He's still doing time in Folsom for a job he pulled on the coast.
Yeah. And the other 2 are Jack Fontaine and Vance Young.
Yeah, but Young is dead. That leaves us Fontaine.
You mean you know who did it? Without nothing to tell you?
There's plenty to tell us. The modus operandi can be almost as good as a fingerprint or a signature.
I'll be winged. Maybe that fella's going to pay off for slugging me after all. And for hurting my arm when he grabbed me in the alley there.
How'd he grab you? Show me. Go ahead, show me.
On you? Well, let's see. He whipped my arm up behind me like this. Then he jabbed a thumb up behind my ear like this. Sure hurts, don't it?
Sure does. Well, you can let go now.
Judo. Still fits Fontaine, Jace.
Yeah. Or Vance Young. He used it, too, on other jobs. When did he slug you?
After he made me open up the back door and let him in.
You mean he sneaked up on you before you could draw your gun?
Sneaked nothing. That's why I didn't get onto him at first. Heard him come walking through the alley toward me like he's taking a shortcut.
You heard him?
Yeah, it was dark, so I didn't see the mask until I lit a match. He asked for a light, see? Then he grabbed me. And he got me inside here and beat on me and kicked me.
Chase, that doesn't sound like Fontaine.
It wasn't Fontaine. He always sneaked a watchman from behind, and they never heard him. He always wore sneakers.
Well, then who?
Vance Young. That match trick is Vance Young's.
But Young is
dead? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I know one thing. I'm going to find out.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McRae as Ranger Jace Pearson. And now, we continue with tonight's case, Dead or Alive, an authentic story from the files of the Texas Rangers.
I headed for Texas City and Galveston. Kurtz and I had no way to move until we knew for certain whether Vance Young was dead or alive. As we drove, I put through a request for headquarters to dig up some information. We were still on the road when KTXA came up with the answers.
KTXA to Unit 10. KTXA to Unit 10.
Unit 10 to KTXA. Go ahead, KTXA.
Have information you requested. Woman who identified body of Vance Young in Texas City gave name as Lillian Young, residing at 410 Harbor Lane, Galveston.
Deceased was wearing ring used in identification. Has subject Lillian Young claimed ring?
No claim has been filed yet. Ring still being held at property claims in Texas City.
Unit 10 also requested check on place where body identified as Vance Young was originally found.
Body was among those recovered from debris of Amalgamated Refinery Plant 7.
Unit 10 believes identification may have been falsified. Possibility Vance Young still alive. Units 10 and 6 continuing investigation. May be tied in with robbery in Landstone, Texas.
Proceed and keep KTXA informed. Authority, Captain Stinson.
Unit 10, 10-4.
KTXA, Austin.
You get that address, Kurtz?
Yeah. 410 Harbor Lane, Galveston.
If we're right, she may have cleared out by now, but we've got to try it.
What do you want me to do?
I'll drop you at Texas City. Get that ring and check every living person who worked at Amalgamated. See if any of them remember that ring and the man who wore it.
Right.
I better call KTXA again and have that marriage record traced. Find out when and where that woman married Young. What her maiden name was, everything we can get.
We'll be in Texas City in a couple of minutes. I can start the check from there and bring the information to you. Where'll we meet?
A Harbor Lane address in Galveston. I found the rooming house Lillian and Vance Young had lived in, but I was too late. Lillian Young had checked out the day before. The landlord showed me the room.
They lived here 5-6 months, all told.
You get to know the husband very well?
I'll tell you the truth, Ranger. I hardly ever saw him. Only time he ever left the place was at night. His wife said his eyes got hurt in the war or something. The sunlight bothered him.
When did you see him last? When they moved out?
No, he wasn't with her then. Last I saw him was, he went out about a week ago. Night of the big blast over at Texas City. Cracked the wall plaster here.
Are you sure you didn't see him after that?
Oh, I'm positive. I don't think he ever did come back. Didn't even hear no talking from the room. Just her. Crying an awful lot.
I see. She decided to leave kind of sudden?
Oh, like a jackrabbit hearing a hound dog. Left for work yesterday morning, came steaming back about an hour later. Give me the keys, pack up, and left.
Came back from work. You know where she worked?
Yeah, I do. She was a waitress. The Bayshore Diner.
Bayshore Diner. Thanks.
So she up and quit on me just like that yesterday morning. Right smack in the middle of the breakfast rush, too. Because the postman come in and give her a special delivered letter.
Who was it from?
Who was it from? With 20 orders of ham and in the fire, I got time to read a mail? All I know is she leaves me the serving, the dishes, and the cleaning and everything.
Stop beefing, Chuck. That little old gal had trouble.
Yeah, you should talk. All you got to do is drive one cab. You don't have the serving and the dishes and the cleaning and everything.
You find yourself a little old chaplain to hear your troubles and give me some coffee. Come on.
Okay. Maybe you can tell a ranger more about Lil than I can. Hanging around her, making eyes at her all day. You took her out when she left here.
Is that right, driver? Did she leave here with you?
Well, she hired my cab, if that's what you mean.
Where'd you take her?
Well, I took her home. Waited while she packed some things, then rushed her to the bus depot. She said somebody in her family was sick and she had to go help them right away. I guess that's what the letter was about. I was sitting there having my breakfast like I always do, and
I understand. But what about the bus depot? You know what bus she caught?
The northbound toward San Antone. Cut it mighty fine, too. Got there just about a minute before the bus pulled out. Would have made it a lot easier if she didn't make me come dashing back about a mile after we left here.
Back here to the diner?
No, back to the laundry down the street. Guess she had some stuff in there. Although she didn't bring a bundle out with her. Then on top of that, she says she can't pay me. Not that I'd mind, except for the 10 extra blocks back to the laundry. I could have put the flag back up as you told me beforehand.
You say the laundry's right down the street?
Yeah, about half block.
Thanks. I'll walk down.
Hey, Jace!
Hi, Kurtz. Fellow at the rooming house told me you came down here.
Yeah. Find out anything on that ring?
Plenty. A couple of men who worked at Amalgamated recognized it. Belonged to a plant man named Ralph Brenner.
Then it wasn't Young's.
No. I got that rundown on Young's wife. Her maiden name was Lillian Brenner. The guy she identified was her brother, not her husband.
Then that's why she was broken up. I knew that part wasn't an act. Come on.
Where are we going?
We're going into the laundry business.
Yeah, she was real upset because the things wasn't ready, but you know how it was, Ranger. We was almost 10 days behind because of Texas City. They was even using our delivery trucks for emergency over there. Some of our men left the job to help out.
Yeah, sure, but what did she leave here? Waitress uniforms?
Oh, lands, no. Dinah up there has a regular uniform service. All she ever left here was men's shirts.
Probably Vance's shirts, Jace.
Yeah.
Real good shirts, too, Ranger. Kind you don't have to starch at all. And real fancy colors, too. Dude wouldn't want to be found dead in some of them.
Did she say she'd be back to pick them up?
Oh, no. She asked me to send them to her, COD. Said she needed the money she had on her for traveling. Shirts like that, you'd think her and her man was living off the top of the hog, but...
Sure, but did she give you an address?
Oh, yeah, I got it right here in this book. Right here. She wrote it down herself.
General delivery, Lake Bluewater.
The shirts are ready now. I'm going to mail them out tonight when I leave.
We'll save you the trouble. Wrap them up, and we'll deliver them for you. Kurtz and I headed for Lake Bluewater, towing our horses in the trailer, ready to follow Vance Young no matter which way he moved. It was dark as we drove into the town. The clock on the courthouse was just striking 9.
Not many people on the streets, Jace. Looks like everything's closed up for the night except for the movie and the drugstore. Better find a place and turn in.
Yeah, I think we ought to drive out of town, camp someplace off the lakeshore, walk the horses out for a while.
I thought we were going to plant that laundry bundle at the post office in the morning, watch for a pickup.
We are.
Well, why not pasture the horses at the edge of town, find accommodations right here?
If we stay in town overnight, it may start some talk. Talk drifts. We don't want to tip our hands.
I guess you're right.
Well, let's get out to the lake and find a campsite.
Funny thing about Young's wife remembering his shirts. Guess it's force of habit for a woman.
Strong thing, Habit. His safe-cracking habits told us he was still alive. And now maybe her habits are going to make him wish he was dead again. We took the road for the lake, past the summer cottages skirting the shore on one side of it. Then as we rounded a curve and passed a house and a group of resort cabins, I spotted something.
Hey, Jace, what's the matter?
I saw something. Wait till I back up. Headlights picked it up as we came around this curve. There. Look at those.
All I see is the back of a few cabins, some wash on a line.
Look at those 2 shirts on the end of the line.
Look like a couple of rainbows, even in this light. Hey.
That's the kind of color scheme Vance Young goes in for. Shirts we have in the laundry bundle are just like those.
Lights on in a few of the cabins.
I'm going to leave the car here while we have a look at those shirts. Horse trailer will make too much of a racket if we drive in.
Yeah, no chance of being taken for tourists with that on the back. Better cut the motor and douse the headlights.
Yeah. What was the laundry mark on those shirts we've got?
410 mark. That was the number of their house in Galveston.
Come on. Let's see if we can find it on that line. And close the car doors easy.
Right.
Take one of them down so we can get a better look at it.
What's the matter?
Clothespin stuck. There, I got it now.
Hold it low to the ground. I'll cut my hand over the flashlight.
Good. There it is. 410. These belong to our boy, all right.
Quite a few cabins, Jace.
He's in one of them. That's all we have to know. Come on. Start with this end cabin and go right on down the line.
We better be ready for anything.
Here's the first stop.
Dark, Jace.
Yeah, you'll have to feel your way around.
Doesn't seem to be anybody living here.
No, this one's empty. Now let's move on.
All right, you.
What? Hey, put that flash out before I fire.
No. Oh, Rangers. I'll put it out.
That's better. Who are you?
Name's Ed Bullock. I own these cabins. Just walking back from the boat dock with a couple of guests. Saw you sneaking in the dark. You looking for a place to stay?
No. We're looking for a couple named Young.
Oh, well, that's funny. It was Mr. Young who spotted your shadows. Hey, Mr. Young.
Was that Young just with you?
Yeah. Him and his wife was right behind me when I flashed light in here.
They spotted us, Jace? Yeah. Come on.
Hey, my boat. Somebody started my boat.
Is that the only boat you got down there?
Only one with a motor. There's a canoe.
We're not going to reach them, Jace. They'll head across the lake. How far is it, Bullock?
A mile and a half.
Kurtz, grab your horse from the trailer. You can beat them around to the far side if you ride hard. When you get there, flash your light. That'll keep them from trying the shore over there.
Right. What about you?
I'm taking the canoe. And hurry.
We'll get them.
Ranger, I better go back to the office. My wife...
You can faint later, Mr. Bullock. Right now, I need you. I'm going out in the canoe. Flash your light from this shore. They'll think I'm here, and they won't dare land on either side. But make sure you don't turn the light on me in this canoe. All right, Bullock. Turn your light on as soon as I get out in the open water.
I paddled the canoe toward the center of the lake. Kurtz beat the Youngs around to the opposite shore, and I could still hear their motor when I saw the beam of Kurt's light. The Youngs saw it, too. The beam wasn't strong enough to reach them. I heard the boat in a turn, and the motor came back toward me for a moment. Then it went dead on the dark water.
What'd you stop the motor for, Vance?
Shut up. They're waiting for us on each shore. If their lights don't reach us.
Thanks, we gotta get out of
Will
here.
you shut up and let me think?
There's a little wind. The boat will drift to the far end of the lake.
But that's so slow.
Well, what do you want me to do? I can't swim like you can.
Why can't you use the oars?
Because the oarlock's squeak, stupid. They'd hear him. Yeah, there's only two of them. They can't cover the whole shore.
Gee, Vance, it's so dark. And Hey, I hear something.
What?
Something in the water.
You're crazy. Can't you see the lights on the shore?
Well, Vance, I do hear something. I see it. It's a canoe.
What? Don't move, Young. I'm coming into your boat. What, you? I'll brain you with the sword.
Look out!
Help! Help! Let go of me. Let go! Go.
Hey, have you got him? He can't swim.
Where he's going, it won't matter. Grab onto the canoe and kick for shore. I got a nice dry shirt waiting for him.
Convicted of robbing a safe in the mercantile store, Vance Young, on the basis of his previous record, was sentenced to life imprisonment at Huntsville. This is Joel McCrae. Many of our listeners, particularly in Texas, recall these cases we've been dramatizing, and some listeners have sent in questions about the Rangers. Yes, it's true. There are only 50 Texas Rangers. And to show you how busy these Rangers are, from 1946 to 1948, the Rangers handled nearly 17,000 cases. With Texas as big as it is, that means they cover about 4 times greater area per man than any other police officer in the world. Next week, we'll have another authentic story I believe you'll enjoy very much. Like the others, it's based on their official files, adding further glory to the Rangers. Hope you'll be listening. Good night.
Next week, Joel McCrae in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McCrae is currently seen starring in the MGM production Stars in My Crown. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. This is Hal Gibney speaking.
Keene, tracer of lost persons, is on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonos Toothpaste presents Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, one of the most famous characters of American fiction and one of radio's most thrilling dramas. Tonight and every Thursday night at the same time, the famous old investigator will take from his file and bring to us one of his most celebrated missing persons cases. Has your dentist ever warned you not to use anything harsh or gritty when cleaning your teeth? If so, you'll be glad to know that Colonos toothpaste contains no grit, no pumice, nothing that could possibly scratch precious tooth enamel. While Colonos helps clean and polish teeth with unsurpassed effectiveness, it does so with complete safety. And remember this, Colonos tastes as bright as it cleans. You'll love the fresh, clean, cool feeling that Colonos gives your whole mouth. It's a grand waker-upper of morning, a grand picker-upper if you smoke too much. Tomorrow, join the thousands who start their day the Colonos way. You can get Colonos at any drugstore tonight. K-O-L-Y-N-O-S. Colonos toothpaste. Now for Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, and the case of the woman in blue. Today in Mr. Keene's office, an obviously nervous and unhappy young Air Force lieutenant awaits the tracer's return, while Susie, Mr. Keene's attractive young office assistant, does her best to make him feel a little more comfortable and at ease.
Are you sure Mr. Keene will be in soon, Miss?
I'm positive, Lieutenant.
You see, I haven't got much time, and this is important.
I understand. Mr. Keene phoned half an hour ago and said he was on his way to the office. Won't you sit down and make yourself comfortable?
I'm too nervous, thanks, anyway.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I was just talking to... Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I set the ash.
Oh, that's quite all right. I'll get it.
Here, let me... I'm sorry. I hit your head like a clumsy idiot.
Well, if you don't relax, Lieutenant, we'll both be nervous wrecks. Oh, here's Mr. Keene now.
Morning, Susie.
Good morning, Mr. Keene. Your mail's inside.
Thank you.
This is Lieutenant Lampson, Mr. Keene.
How do you do? I'm very glad to know you, sir. Could I see you for just a few moments, Mr. Keene? I have a favor to ask of you, and
Come into my office, Lieutenant.
Oh, thank you.
Careful, Lieutenant. You don't want to knock the typewriter over.
Oh, I think I've done enough damage already.
This way, Lieutenant. Please sit down.
Well, thanks, but I'd just as soon stay.
All right. Suit yourself. Now, what's the trouble?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the reason I'm in such a hurry is because I'm going back overseas again in 2 weeks when my leave expires. I'm in the Air Force.
Yes, I noticed your wings. I also noticed you're wearing a Distinguished Flying Cross ribbon and 3 oak leaf clusters.
Yes, sir. Got them all in the South Pacific.
Well, good for you.
Well, I hope to be sent to England this trip. And if I could only see Francia again before I leave...
Francia?
Yes, sir. Mr. Keene, I don't think you're the answer to the lovelorn column, sir, and I know you're not dealing in service for the lonely heart.
Not exactly.
But, well, time is short. You see, I fell in love with a girl at a masquerade party 3 nights ago. And, well, she fell in love with me. She gave me her address, and when I went there the next day, the maid let me in, well, in a most mysterious manner. And then also with great mystery, she announced that Miss Francia Jones had gone away 2 days before and would be gone indefinitely.
I see.
She said there was no way to reach her, and, well, I could feel myself being pushed out of the house. I'm sure, sir, that something rotten is going on there. Something has happened to Fran.
You mean you believe there's been foul play, Lieutenant?
Well, if Francia had left town 2 days before, how did I come to meet her at a party just the night before?
Obvious the maid wasn't telling the truth, but it may have been for different reasons than you suspect.
Would a girl leave a guy flat without a word of explanation after telling him... Well, after telling him...
What?
Well, the things she told me.
No. Let's relax, Lieutenant. This thing may not be as bad as you think it is.
Well, then you'll help me, Mr. Keene?
I'd like to know who wouldn't help a man in uniform. Just a moment. Susie, would you come in here with your book, please?
Yes.
I want Susie to take down certain details concerning Miss Jones.
Oh, I'll be glad to give them to her.
Yes, Mr. King?
Susie, I'd like you to get the usual details from Lieutenant Lanston in regard to the missing person.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is Miss Jones' address, Lieutenant?
So you're going over there now, sir?
Well, the first thing I want to do is to find out why the maid told you that story.
Well, the address is number 18 Wickersham Road. It's in Westchester.
And where can I get in touch with you?
Oh, I'm staying at the Hotel Page, sir.
All right. I'll call you there just as soon as I have some word.
Oh, thanks very much, Mr. King. This means a great deal.
I'm glad to help if I can. When Mike Clancy calls, Susie, would you please ask him to meet me at that Westchester address?
Yes, I will, Mr. King.
And tell him to wait outside the house for me. Well, I'll see you soon with good news, I hope, Lieutenant.
Well, thanks again, sir. Who is Mike Clancy?
Mr. King's assistant.
Oh, I thought you were his assistant, Miss.
Oh, I'm one of his office assistants. And I wish you'd just call me Susie. There's no need to be formal.
All right. My name is Don.
Don. Now, the lady's name, please.
Miss Francia Jones.
And her age?
Oh, I'd say she's about 24.
That's my age. Color of hair?
What?
What color of hair does Miss Jones have? I don't mean to sound like a police sergeant taking notes, but we need all those details.
Of course, I understand. She has, well, honey-colored hair.
Honey-colored?
Yes. Her hair is about your color.
Oh, I see. Eyes?
Beautiful.
What color?
Oh, green.
Height?
Just high enough to make a wonderful dancing partner. Oh, about 5'4".
Weight?
Oh, about, well, let's see, I'd say, well, 140 or so.
140? Why, she must be,
Must be what?
nothing.
She's not fat. Oh, gosh, no. She's no heavier than you are.
I weigh 112.
Oh, well, then that's what Francia would.
I've never met a man who had any conception of what a woman should weigh. Why, good heavens, if I weighed 140, well, let's not go into that. Any other details that would make her easily identifiable? Scars or birthmarks?
No scars. But what a smile. And when we met, she was wearing a dazzling light blue evening gown. She was, well, a vision in sort of starlight.
Well, the smile won't help, and neither would the evening gown.
Well, is that all?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I guess I'd better go now.
Well, we know where to get in touch with you, Lieutenant, if we need any further details.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Oh, Lieutenant.
Yes?
Don't worry. Mr. King will find her for you, I'm sure.
Oh, I hope so. Thanks for being so nice. So long.
Goodbye. And good luck. Honey-colored hair, green eyes, 5 feet 4 inches tall, 112 pounds. Why, he could just as well have been describing me.
Yes, sir?
Is Miss Jones at home?
Miss Jones?
Why, yes. Isn't it?
I'm sorry. She's out of town. She...
Who is it, Anna? Anna?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is it?
A gentleman to see you, ma'am.
Are you Miss Jones?
I'm Mrs. Jones. That'll be all, Anna.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no Miss Jones living here?
No. May I ask who you are?
My name is Keene. I'm a special investigator. At the moment, I'm working with Lieutenant Lanston.
Oh, Don.
Were you at home yesterday, Mrs. Jones, when Don...
Yes, I was, Mr. King.
Then, may I ask why?
Before you go any further, let me tell you my side of the story.
I wish you would, Mrs. Jones.
I feel so ashamed of what I did to Don. I know I owe you an explanation.
You owe him the explanation, Mrs. Jones. But please go on.
Well, I'm married, as you know now. Before my marriage, I was something of an actress. I might have had a career, perhaps, if I'd tried hard enough. At any rate, I married Everett 3 years ago.
Everett Jones is your husband?
Yes. You've heard of him, Miss Keene?
Wasn't he indicted for fraud some months ago?
Well, he was indicted, but the charge was never proved. He was acquitted in both cases.
There were 2 indictments?
Yes, but, well, neither here nor there. I fell in love with Everett because I knew he could support me in the way in which I wanted to live.
I know he's a wealthy man, Mrs. Jones, but what has all this to do with Don Lanson?
Well, I'm coming to that. My husband pays a great deal of attention to his business, and I resent being neglected. Lately, I've gotten into the habit of going to the theater alone, often dining alone. It's not very entertaining, I assure you.
I imagine it isn't.
The other night, I decided to attend that masquerade ball. I had dinner at the Club Palermo, and then went to the dance. I met Don there, as you know. I knew he wanted fun and relaxation, and I didn't want to spoil the illusion by saying I was married. The whole affair was entirely innocent, Mr. Keene.
Innocent? When you permit a young soldier to fall in love with you, a married woman?
I didn't realize he'd go so far. Oh, I admit it was the worst sort of brainless reasoning. I had no idea he'd fall in love. It's surprising, too, for I'm 10 years older than he is, though I don't look it when I meet up.
When he showed up the following day, you decided to end the matter by pretending you were gone, is that it?
Yes. I'm afraid my maid spoiled things. But I didn't want to hurt the boy. I just wanted to end the affair as quickly and as painlessly as possible.
I agree with you there, Mrs. Jones. A quick ending was the only solution.
If you could only understand how lonely I was, and how lonely Don seemed to be. I know I was wrong, Mr. Keene, but that night I just couldn't tell him I was married.
May I ask what you propose to do now, Mrs. Jones?
I don't know. Naturally, I wouldn't want my husband to know about this. And I certainly don't want to hurt Don.
Don's feelings are my chief concern right now.
I understand that, Mr. Keene. And if there was anything you could do to make it easier for Don and for me, I'd greatly appreciate it.
I don't mean to be unkind, but I hope you've learned your lesson, Mrs. Jones.
Why, I have. I assure you I have. I'm ashamed and sorry. Please, believe me.
Well, I'll do the best I can.
Thank you, Mr. Keene. Thank you so much for understanding.
I only hope, Mrs. Jones, there's nothing more to this case.
More?
Yes.
Oh, I assure you there isn't.
That remains to be seen. Goodbye, Mrs. Jones. And that's all she told me, Mike.
Well, now, did it sound like the truth, Mr. Keene?
It sounded that way, yes.
But she said she was an actress, sir.
That's right.
And, sure she had no trouble pulling the wool over the lieutenant's eyes.
Evidently not.
Then maybe this is all just a gag.
How do you mean, Mike?
Well, I mean, sir, that, maybe the husband is in on it.
Frankly, I had the same thought.
And sure, who knows what they may be trying to pull on this lad, Mr. Keene. Sure, the husband's had a brush or two with the law before.
But could it be possible that anyone would be low enough to use a soldier, a man who's risked his life for his country and his people, time and time again, as a cat's paw?
She didn't seem to have any worries about stringing the lad along in the first place, sir.
You may be right, Mike. And if you are, I'll make them both regret it as long as they live. This case bears watching, there's no doubt about it.
I'll say so, sir.
Meanwhile, I'm not going to say anything to the lieutenant. Not before I find a way to break the news without upsetting him too much. Call him on the telephone, Mike, and ask him to meet us back in the office in an hour.
I'll do that, sir.
Perhaps we can work something out for Don. Yes. And get to the bottom of this other business at the same time.
Just a moment, Mr. Keene will continue with the case of the woman in blue. Meanwhile, if your own dentist or physician has at some time given you an envelope containing Anacin tablets, you're already familiar with this highly effective pain-relieving agent. For Anacin relieves the pains of simple headache and minor neuralgia incredibly fast. And here's the reason. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, not just one, but a combination of active and medically proven ingredients. Anacin comes in handy boxes of 12 and 30, or bottles of 50 and 100 at any drugstore. Take only as directed. ANACIN. Anacin. Now back to Mr. Keene and the climax to The Case of the Woman in Blue. Returning to his office with Mike Clancy, his assistant, Mr. Keene finds Lieutenant Lanson awaiting him.
Did you find Fran, Mr. Keene? Did you see her?
Yes, I saw her, Don.
And she's safe?
Perfectly safe.
Well, then why did she...
Don, I don't mean to keep you in suspense, but there's very little I can tell you at the moment.
Mr. Keene, you said...
However...
Yes, sir?
There's a nightclub called the Club Palermo. Do you know where it is?
Yes, I've been there once or twice.
Perhaps if you had dinner there tonight, you might find your friend. I understand that she is seen there often.
But don't you think it might be better if I went back to her home?
No, Don, I definitely do not. Take my advice, son. Drop into this place this evening. You may be pleasantly surprised.
Will you and Mr. Clancy here come with me, sir?
I think Susie would be a better bet to accompany you, Don. Mike and I would hardly make good dancing companions.
Oh, I don't think I'd feel much like dancing. I just want to see Fran and talk to her once more before I leave.
There are certain reasons why I prefer not to go. And you really shouldn't go alone.
Oh, very well, sir.
But you'll find Susie a very sympathetic and interesting companion, if you care to take her.
Oh, I'd be glad to, sir.
Good. When she returns to the office, I'll ask her if she's free. Perhaps if you call the office later on, then you could make all the arrangements.
All right, thank you, Mr. Keene.
And tomorrow morning, call me back and let me know how you made out with Francia.
I will, sir. If you say it's the way it should be done, well, that makes it okay with me.
Thank you for your confidence, Don.
I'll talk to you tomorrow then, sir. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Don.
Oh, goodbye, Mr. Clancy, and thanks a lot.
Oh, not at all, Lieutenant.
Will he really meet her there, Mr. Keene?
I doubt it, Mike. Francia Jones does go there alone occasionally, but I'm sending him there for a different reason.
What, sir?
Perhaps he is not quite as much in love with Francia as he thinks he is. The soldier on leave sometimes puts a little too much emphasis on romance, and it's easily understandable.
I know what you mean, boss.
Francia seemed to be the first American woman he'd met since coming back from the South Pacific. Now, if he met others and talked to them, danced with them, he might find his attitude changing a bit.
Sure, and you may be right, sir.
Another thing that startled me was Susie's resemblance to Francia. Susie is much younger, of course, and not brittle and superficial like Mrs. Jones, but Susie should be a good substitute to begin with. And she might do him a lot of good. At any rate, we'll see soon enough.
Wonderful place, Donnie. It's so glamorous.
Yeah, I rather like it myself, sir.
Oh, it was very sweet of you to ask me to come. Do you see Francia in the crowd?
No, not yet.
Oh, perhaps she hasn't arrived. It's awfully good dance music, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a pretty good band. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to dance, Susan?
I'd love to.
No point in just sitting here watching the people come in, is there?
No.
Susie, I'm sorry. That wasn't a very tactful thing to say.
Well, that's quite all right. I understand, Don. Well?
Huh? Oh, the dance. Well, sure. Let's go, huh?
I love this song.
So do I. Hey, you're a swell dancer, Susie.
So are you.
And, well, I guess I should have said this a long time ago. You look very pretty in that glittery blue dress.
It's never too late to say that. Thanks.
You know, somehow I feel a little more relaxed right now than I have in days.
It's the atmosphere and the music.
No. I'd say it was more...
More what?
More you.
Well, what was that step you were doing before? Let's try it again, huh?
All right. Oh, you know how long it's been since I had lobster thermidor?
I guess they don't serve a dinner like this out in the South Pacific.
K rations are a banquet out there.
You know, they think we know what you soldiers go through, but we really don't here at home.
Oh, we're not kicking. We've got a job to do, and we do it, that's all. Where'd you get that ring, Susie?
Oh, it's a graduation ring.
I know that. I mean, what school?
Oh, you wouldn't know it. It's a small college out west.
Do you have any folks here in New York?
No, I live alone.
Oh, that must be tough.
Not really. I read a lot and go to concerts.
Do you like concerts?
Oh, I'm crazy about them. But let's talk about Francia. I know you prefer that.
Well, I remember discussing music with her. She wasn't very interested, I guess. Susie, who's your favorite composer?
Bach.
That's mine, too.
Well, strangely enough, I also like Gershwin.
Well, so do I.
Well, tell me some more about Fran. She must be charming.
Wow, she's very beautiful. She speaks like, well, you know, like an actress.
With distinction?
Yeah, that's it. You know, Susie, you have that quality, too. In a different way. A way I like.
She a good dancer, too?
Very good. And that reminds me, so are you. How about another dance?
Love it.
Let's go.
Oh, I'm having a wonderful time. Are you?
I'll say I am. Oh, this is one of the things we missed so much out on the island. And boy, oh boy, am I going to make up for lost time.
No sign of Francia yet?
I don't see her. Look, here's a new step I picked up, Susie. I think you'll like it. I guess the orchestra's taking a rest.
Oh, I wish they wouldn't.
Just when I was, well, getting used to holding you in my arms, too. Susie, you're...
Oh, what's the matter, Don?
What? Look, there's Fran sitting at that table over there with a man.
Oh, will you go on over and speak to her, and I'll...
No, Susie. No, you're my date for tonight. Besides, well, I'll just say hello to be polite. Come on. Good evening, Fran.
Don, how are you?
Fine, thanks. Oh, this is Miss Hargrave.
How do you do? How do you do? This is my husband, Don. Edward, I want you to meet Lieutenant Lampson and Miss Hargrave.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Glad to know you, Mr. Jones. Well, Fran, it was nice seeing you again.
And you.
Glad to have met you, Lieutenant. I'm glad to have met you, sir.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Have fun.
Married, and she never even...
Do you want to leave, Don?
Leave? Why, my gosh, no, I'm having the time of my life. I guess I just never saw her before this way.
Fran?
Mm-hmm. And Susie, I don't even care. I'm not kidding now. I'm glad it turned out this way.
And I'm glad for you, Don.
Susie, you and I are going to have an evening. We'll do the town and just talk and talk until the crack of dawn. How about it?
Anything you say, Don.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like I'm on wings. Oh, boy, what a break I got, Susie, when I met you.
Dear, if I keep making these mistakes.
Good morning, Susie.
Good morning, Mr. Keene. Oh, excuse me, sir.
You look tired.
I'm afraid we were out very late last night, Mr. Keene.
Did you have a good time?
We had a wonderful time. We met Francia Jones and her husband.
At the nightclub?
Yes, Mr. Keene.
Well, that was something I didn't really count on.
Oh, but it was quite all right. In fact, it didn't mean a thing to Don. He was really happy to put an end to it all.
Is that so?
I know he wasn't in love with Francia. In fact, I'm sure of it now.
You are? Why, Susie?
Well, I think he's in love with me, sir.
That's something else I didn't expect.
And I'm in love with him, Mr. Keene. Terribly in love. It frightens me a little.
Why should it frighten you?
Well, I just can't make up my mind about him. Could such love be real? A man who changes so quickly, would he change that way about me, too?
I doubt it, Susie. And I'll tell you why. Love isn't something to be reckoned with in regard to time or place. It just happens, that's all. And when it's genuine, you know it. Of such things, romance is made, Susie.
Mr. Keene's office.
Susie?
Don.
How are you, darling?
Oh, just fine, dear. Well, you want to speak to Mr. Keene? He's here.
Before I do, darling, remember our dinner date tonight.
I will.
Hello, Don.
Hello, Mr. Keene. I suppose Susie told you about last night.
Yes, she did. But you mustn't judge Francia too harshly, Don.
Oh, I'm not, sir.
At first I thought that they might be taking advantage of you in some way. That's why I didn't tell you everything at first. But I think it's pretty obvious now that that wasn't the case.
Well, sir, that isn't very important to me right now. You've been wonderful. And in return, I think I ought to give you fair warning, sir.
Warning of what?
Well, after the war, when I come back, you're going to lose a darn good office assistant.
Well, when that time comes, perhaps we can effect a compromise. Beneficial to both sides.
All right, sir, okay with me.
And as far as Francia is concerned, this we must say for her, Don. She made a mistake and corrected it.
Which was all the luck in the world for me.
Do wartime changes make your dentifrice taste different nowadays? Why not change to Colonos, the toothpaste that really tastes keen? You'll find its delicious minty flavor, its tangy, refreshing taste, chases morning mouth in a hurry. Yes, there's a zip and a tingle to Colonos that leaves your mouth fresh and cool as the sea breeze. And while Colonos makes your mouth feel bright, it helps make your smile look its best. Just wait until you see how spick and span Colonos helps get your teeth. They look their loveliest because Colonos was specifically designed to help give your teeth the highest possible polish safely. You can get Colonos in any drugstore. K-O-L-Y-N-O-S. Colonos toothpaste. You've been listening to Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons. On the air every Thursday at the same time over this network. Don't miss Mr. Keene next Thursday night when the kindly old tracer turns to the case of the hidden motive. This is Larry Elliott saying good night for the makers of Colonos toothpaste and inviting you to listen to Friday on Broadway at the same time over this network tomorrow night.
Galore.